This is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network. Welcome to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Your host, Felice Gerwitz, is an author, a publisher, and your radio show host. She will encourage, educate, and inspire you with answers to your most pressing questions from homeschool, marriage, parenting, and much more. Felice loves to equip moms to live a Christian life because every moment counts. Be sure to visit her website at mediaangels.com. And here's your host, Felice Gerwitz.
When it comes to learning difficulties like dyslexia, lasting change starts with the right approach. At the Morris Center, we go beyond traditional tutoring, offering comprehensive, evidence-based programs that retrain the brain for lifelong success. With over 35 years of experience, we've helped thousands of clients overcome learning challenges in just months, not years. Find out how we can help your child succeed at themorriscenter.com.
Hey everyone and welcome. This is Felice Gerwitz with an episode of Vintage Homeschool Moms. And today we are going to be talking about Valentine's Day on the cheap. You can take these ideas and use them for whatever occasion, whether you have a special birthday that you're celebrating or something similar. And of course, the only difference here is that we're going to have a lot of heart decorations, aren't we? So that's always fun. So are you ready to celebrate Valentine's Day with very little money? In this episode, I'm going to share some great ideas to make the day special with your own Valentine's Day party for your immediate family or the gang. And there are even some ideas for your spouse and your kids and a way to cut those corners that will make everyone smile. For some reason, Valentine's Day was never my favorite holiday, and probably because I didn't date as a student and didn't see the examples of the day or the day at my home, okay? My parents told me it was a made-up holiday. Yeah, they're realists. And I didn't see my dad give my mom flowers, although I know they were deeply in love because they were inseparable. We kids changed all that when we got older, and we ordered flowers from my dad to my mom all the time. And gladly, he thought it was great and funny, and she never knew. So fast forward to my own experience with my boyfriend and now my husband, and there is a balloon incident I want to share. So my dad didn't like the idea of my dating, and this is even when I graduated from college, other than the people that my dad would try to set me up with. Yes, I am not lying here. My dad had these ideas of people that he was trying to, tell me were a good catch. And this is after I graduated from college. And one of them was a salesman at the restaurant, and apparently I intimidated him, my father said. So my dad had to come to me and ask me what I thought about this young guy that was trying to sell my dad something, I don't know. And I just rolled my eyes and said, "You have got to be kidding me, Dad. You're getting in the midst of this." And he said, "Well, I was trying to put the guy out of his misery because he wanted to ask you out. And every time he said he walked over to you, you walked away." Thought I was pretty smart then. And I was teaching at a school and, finally had just prayed, "Lord, I'm giving you my life. If you want me to never be married, that's fine. I'm back in the town where I grew up. And, it's kind of slim picking. So you're going to have to bring me someone if you want me to get married." And that's exactly what he did. My future husband ended up moving into town, and he was teaching at another school nearby. And so we went out once, and it really couldn't be called much of a date. And then Super Bowl Sunday is always, he says, the first time he asked me out, but watching the Super Bowl wasn't my idea of a date, but he calls that one of our dates. And then soon after, there was a big parade in town, and we were supposed to go to dinner. And I thought, well, now this is our, more of a date. And he was taking me to Mass that evening on a Saturday night, and then we were going to go out to eat. And that afternoon, I got a knock on my door, and there he was, dressed in no way to be going out to church or to dinner. He had on clothes. It looked like he was going to go play a basketball game, which was actually where he was heading. And he gave me this huge bunch of balloons that he had bought from some vendor at a parade. And he just kind of handed them to me and said, "Here, I wanted to give you these before tonight, and I'll see you later." And here I was left with this. There had to be like 25 or 30 balloons in this bunch. And I brought them in the house and thought, oh my word, what am I going to do with this? And where am I going to hide them? Because I still lived at home. Where am I going to hide this? And I put them in my room. And that night when I got back from dinner with my now husband, there were all the balloons that has escaped my room and were floating around along the hallway. So I remember frantically catching these balloons as they were, going up into the air. Well, that was fun and embarrassing. But Valentine's Day doesn't have to be expensive. In fact, later he told me, I think he spent all of $5 for all those balloons. So even back then, my husband was being very frugal. And I have a list of shortcuts of some fun things to do to make your celebrations inexpensive. So the first is getting the kids involved. Heart cookies, what could be better than heart-shaped cookies with sugar crystals or icing? And I have a great recipe I'm going to attach to this podcast. You can print it out and enjoy. There's 2 different cookie recipes that I have, and one of them is a little bit harder to make, but it makes the most delicious, chewy cookies ever. And when you make them, try a small batch first, just to test to see if you have enough flour, because it really depends on so many different factors. But there is a secret ingredient in that cookie recipe that is one of my favorites. And the kids love making heart-shaped cookies, so that's always fun. You can give them a rolling pin. What I do with the kids, because, kids will stick their fingers in their mouth or, do all kinds of different things. I don't know if this is my freak out cleanliness because of my dad owning a restaurant. But what I do with the kids is I give them each their own little pad of dough, and then I put wax paper, and we have rows of where their cookies are. So especially with the grandkids when they come over, and so they have their batches of cookies that they made, and of course we can share. And as much as we try to wash hands and everything else, as my daughter says, it all burns off in the heat anyway. But if you're a control freak like I am sometimes, or cleanliness freak, that does help. All right. Excuse me. The second is bookmarks. I love this. We did this years ago, and it turned out to be a favorite of so many people. In fact, I still have the bookmarks that we made. So we took bookmarks, and I've got a handout. If you are part of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network family and you are on the easing list, you will get the printables for this. So you get them free. Just stay on our email list. And if it's, no longer available, just let me know and we'll get you that. But the bookmarks are cut out of, you can either do the heart shapes first. So you can cut out a bunch of pink and red hearts, all different shapes and sizes. And then you take a ream of white paper, and I get the 110 weight. To give you an idea, copy paper is about a 20-pound weight. So if you get the heavier weight and have that, that will be the best thing ever. It's like a soft cardboard. And so I folded it in 4s and cut them. Or you can do them in 6 strips, however you want to do it. And I punched a hole for a ribbon and wrote the person's name on one side and a Bible verse on the other. And they're so much cheaper and prettier than Valentine's bought in the store. If you want to make bigger bookmarks, which I actually like, is you can cut out 1 bookmark per sheet of paper. And they are bigger, but they're great because the kids can use them for their reading books or however they want. Another fun idea is to make those little hangers for your door. And I also have a template for that in the giveaway for February. The third is hot cocoa mix. My kids love to make it, and I promise you, all you need is sugar and cocoa, no additives. So we use about a third, so if you use 1 tablespoon of cocoa, you would use 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now, if that's not sweet enough for you, then you can add more sugar. If you don't like sugar and use artificial sweeteners, I'm like super against them, but you can. Or use something like stevia, which is a little bit more natural. I think sometimes stevia has an aftertaste. And then you can add a drop, and I mean a drop, like 1/8 of a teaspoon of vanilla extract, which makes it yummy. But you can take the cocoa mix and mix that and just keep it in a really special container. You can buy little mason jars and have the kids decorate them and put ribbon on them and give them as gifts. That's a fun thing. You can also dress it up with different colors for different occasions. The fourth thing is breakfast. I did heart-shaped toast when the kids were little. I cut off the ends after I toasted the bread. I made heart-shaped pancakes. You can invest in griddle shapes, but I didn't want to have a bunch of stuff that I had to store. So what I did was I put the batter in squeeze bottles, and so then I could just squeeze out a heart and then fill it in with the ladle, and it worked out really well. And that works great for all kinds of shapes. For lunch, of course, heart-shaped sandwiches, right? We save the edges for the croutons for dinner. And I made stone soup, and it was really a fun recipe. If you've never read the Stone Soup book, look it up and get it. It was really fun, and there's no hearts in this recipe, but it is a fun cold weather book to read and then have all the ingredients to make it. And the kids can take turns bringing and adding ingredients for the best stone soup ever. And the sixth idea for dinner, again, heart-shaped meatloaf. You can do individual or even burgers. And you can use a cookie heart shape to just cut out the bread, or you can use toothpicks to make a heart-shaped or whatever it is that you want. And then cookies for dessert and or cake. Heart-shaped cakes are easier to make than you would think. And so there's some great links that I'm putting in for some gorgeous heart cakes, and I've got some more ideas for you. I just wanted to take a second and give a shout out to our sponsor.
What are those priceless gifts that money can't buy? Well, I can tell you one of the first is the gift of time, creating memories with your children. The next priceless gift is teaching your child the value of spending time with God. In the novel, A Few Minutes with God, written for children and teens, the story unfolds about a struggling family and the gift of hearing God and the outcome, which is a wonderful blessing from the Lord. Your children will want to pray and spend time listening to God after reading this book. Visit mediaangels.com for more information.
All right, well, number 8 is decorations. So I have purchased all kinds of kits, as I'm sure you have, and one of the kits that sat around forever was the candle kit, because I didn't want to make a big mess with all the wax. Well, one day we did make the candles, and it was really great because we made them in this huge batch, and then we had candles set aside for Valentine's Day. We used essential oils and really fun, we made them pink and red and different food colorings that we used. And the kids even put in some hard shapes. And I think some of these were came with the kit. I don't really remember. It was a while ago. And so you can do all kinds of things like that and then keep them and use them for decorations or give them as gifts. The other was heart-shaped construction paper. And I mean, we kept these for years. The kids would make all different shapes. And instead of, putting them in a chain or anything like that, I let the kids just not haphazard, but put them up randomly. And we use that little sticky stuff that doesn't ruin your walls. They have so improved on this stuff, I'm telling you, from what we had. And I have big sliding glass doors. And so we would always put the heart shape there. And it just made everything look so much more festive. The kids loved making decorations, and they especially loved it when I kept them year to year. And that way we would pull them out again, and sometimes they would laugh at how badly they did when they were younger, and then they would add to it as they were getting older. The 10th thing is soaps and scented crafts. So we had, again, with that faded, I tell you what, that candle kit sat around here for so long. But with the soap kit, we were able to do the same kinds of things, and that came with all kinds of, little heart-shaped trays. And so we made soaps. The thing about the soaps is they were pretty hard and lasted quite a while. So you want to have some kind of dish that you can set them in when the kids are using them, because they did make a mess, but it was really fun, and they could give them as gifts. Now, how about for dad, right? So this is actually for dad and mom. One of the things my husband did, and this was egging on by my kids, was he started sending me expensive flower bouquets. And being that I was the one who paid all of our credit card bills and I could see how much he was spending, I finally said to him, enough. I love you, and I'm so happy that you want to give me flowers, but we can't, afford these ridiculous bouquets. And so he started buying me rose bushes. And so he planted me a garden, and this was wonderful. A big bunch of expensive flowers or a big bunch of rose bushes. And so through the years, he, created this beautiful rose garden, and I'm no green thumb, so he had to tend to it. And that made it even more special, and the kids loved to pick me roses, from this garden. So, it was a multi-purpose, a really sweet idea that was a gift that just kept on giving. And then the second thing is I would give my husband time. If your husband likes to play the guitar or putter around in his workshop, give him certificates for time. Kid-free time, and that is a great gift. And you can do that with all of his favorite things. If he likes to read, just start with 5 different things, and I promise you he will love this gift. My husband's favorite gift is when I give him time with me. I'm one of those, and Meredith and I covered this in a podcast that we did on the love languages, but and I have a link that I'll also put it in the show notes. But his way of saying I love you is to spend time with you. And my way of saying I love you is let me bake you some cookies. So we had to learn to compromise, and spending time with my husband is one of the things he loves the most. So if you don't know what your husband or your own love language is, take a quiz. I have a quiz for 5 love languages. The 4th is dress up, and that goes for both of you. No sloppy shirts, no messy bun. Wear something nice. Wear, clothes like you're going to go to church or you're going to go to the store. It doesn't have to be super dressy, but you can look nice. I remember, back in the day, the little manuals that we all laughed at, of course, being that, this was like so beneath us, right? To be, dress up for your husbands and have the table set and have meals ready. Well, my husband doesn't like to eat the second he gets home. He liked to just relax and talk about the day and hang out with the kids and me. So that was nice pressure off of me as far as that went. But also, ladies, we're tired by the time our husbands get home for the most part. And so making an effort to get dressed up, putting a little dab of perfume, whatever, really will go a long way. And especially if you're trying to do Valentine's Day on the cheap. And then no devices. It's a media-free day. Give the kids, popcorn and, just say, look, guys, everybody, we're not going to have media today. We're going to, if they get antsy, have them string the popcorn. I don't know. But just have a day where, you are, as a family, whether it's playing games or talking or roasting marshmallows outside and making s'mores, whatever that is, just spend time together, spend time enjoying each other, spend time getting reacquainted. These are all things that you can do, whether it's making a fun dinner, or going out to dinner if that's something that you want to do, and you can get someone to babysit the kids and go out with your husband, going for walks, whatever that is that is going to be, something special that your spouse would like or something that you would like. Just let your husband know ahead of time, give him some hints. Sometimes we need to give our husband big hints, like, a big note taped to the mirror in the morning, wherever he's washing his face and brushing his teeth, and, giving him a heads up. And whether you do it for your kids or yourself, have a wonderful and fun day. You can find the show notes on vintagehomeschoolmoms.com. Look for Valentine's Day on the cheap. And again, we want to give a shout out to our sponsor, and that is Sony and the movie The Star, which is now available on DVD. So enjoy. Thanks so much. God bless, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Visit Felice at MediaAngels.com and thevintagehomeschoolmoms.com. Vintage Homeschool Moms is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network.